Well, good morning and welcome to Florida. A few weeks ago, I proposed a very simple amendment on the Senate floor. It stated no federal dollars for cities and states that treat churches, synagogues, and mosques differently than they treat restaurants, stores, and offices during the COVID pandemic. It's pretty simple. If you allow bars and beauty shops to be open, you should allow churches and faith-based entities to be open. You would think that that vote would be a no-brainer, except it wasn't. In a squeaker vote, the First Amendment won 51-49 in the United States Senate. I am sure Madison and Hamilton would be thrilled at the passion for religious liberty in the current United States Senate. Here's one of the many things that make our nation so special. In America, every person has the right to have any faith of their choosing or to have no faith at all, and you are still a great American. You don't have to take off your faith when you leave your house. You don't have to take off your faith when you leave church. In fact, I would remind this group, if you don't practice your faith every day, you really don't have a faith. You just have a religious hobby. Your faith should have an impact on you. In America, you can be a Baptist or you can be Baha'i. You can be a Methodist or you can be a Muslim. You can be Jewish or Jehovah's Witness. You can be Hindu or heathen. You can be a member of a Buddhist temple, or you can be a member at the Greater New Mount Zion Holy Ghost Missionary Church. You can declare you're an agnostic and you're still faith shopping, or you can declare that you're an atheist and you don't believe Psalm 53 where it says, the fool says in his heart there is no God. That's your right as an American. If you're Muslim, you want to pray 5 times a day, it's your right. If you're Jewish, you want to gather with others and read the Torah, that is your right. If you're a follower of Jesus Christ like I am and want to tell other people about the power of God's forgiveness and his incredible love for us, that is my right. Last Sunday when I went to church, yes, I know I went to church during a time of COVID, which shows I live in Oklahoma, not in California, where you can go to swanky restaurants but not to church. I even dared to sing in church, contrary to California doctrine. Last Sunday, when I gathered with people at church and talked about the goodness of God, it was good for my soul. Quite frankly, the whole world seems to be gripey. Have you noticed we're getting gripey lately? I think some people need a little Jesus in their life. A week ago, I could sit alone and I could read Psalm 46, which says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in a time of trouble. Therefore, I will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. You know why I could sit and read that? Because I'm an American. That's why I could sit and read that. We can live our faith. The in-group in society doesn't get to define who can and cannot have faith, what their faith would look like in public or in private, because we have no established religion. Liberal professors, left-wing politicians can't push faith out of public view because they don't like it. We have a First Amendment. We don't have to submit to the in-crowd secular humanism. In the words of James Madison, your religious opinions are a property of particular value. Your faith is your property, not the government's property. It's like your car, your house, or your Browning 12 gauge. It is your property. The problem is, not everyone believes that. President Biden's nominee to lead HHS, Javier Becerra, as the Attorney General of California, he sued the Trump administration 100 times, and he led the lawsuit against people of faith like Little Sisters of the Poor, forcing them to choose between shutting down their ministry to elderly poor or to violate their religious beliefs. He worked to manage the faith of Californians. Yesterday, the House of Representatives passed the very ironically named Equality Act that specifically excludes, for the first time ever in law, that people of faith cannot say you have faith. You have to submit to what the House's will is. A couple of years ago in Montana, a mom tried to utilize a state scholarship fund to send her daughters to a Christian school, but the state of Montana has specific language in their constitution that doesn't allow state funds to be used at a religious school. That was argued all the way to the Supreme Court, where last year, the Supreme Court determined the state of Montana didn't have to create a scholarship program, but if it did, it could not discriminate against people of faith. You would think that settled the issue, except there are 37 states in the United States, including my own, that have specific language in their constitution that requires them to discriminate against people of faith. It's called the Blaine Amendment. Those Blaine Amendments were written during a time of anti-Catholic fervor in our nation more than a century ago. That language needs to go. And if you're a state legislator, clear that bigoted language out of your state constitution. Last year, I was seated on the lawn of the White House, getting a sunburn because I'm a redhead, watching President Trump and the leadership of Israel, UAE, and Bahrain sign the Abraham Accords. The first Middle East peace treaty in decades. And as I sat there on the South Lawn watching the ceremony, I sat reading the Abraham Accords. I don't know if you've read that peace treaty, but here's how the Abraham Accords begin. We, the undersigned, recognize the importance of maintaining and strengthening peace in the Middle East and around the world based on mutual understanding and coexistence, as well as respect for human dignity, freedom, including religious freedom. Did I mention that was signed by Israel, United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain? Freedom is breaking out in the Middle East while the left is trying to shut it down in America. But they cannot do that because we are Americans and we have the greatest constitution in the world. Our founders risked their lives to establish a new nation where every person could freely practice their faith. But remember, the right to have your faith and live your faith is a right. You have to make it a reality by actually living your faith. Go live it. And I get to say this because I'm an American. God bless you, and God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, speaking on freedom of press,